I never imagined a simple night out would stay with me the way this one did. My name is Ethan, and for most of my life, I've been the kind of person who stays quiet, avoids conflict, and lets things roll off my back. That evening, I'd been invited to a small birthday gathering for Claire, my girlfriend of 2 years. Her friends were energetic, loud, comfortable, filling every room with their personalities. I often felt like the calm spot in the middle of all that noise, but I cared about her, so I stepped into her world whenever she asked. One of her friends, Milo, was there, tall, confident, always wearing a smug half-smile like it was part of his face. We'd met a few times before, exchanging nothing more than quick greetings. But from the moment he saw me that night, it felt like he was inspecting me, subtly prodding at weaknesses he hoped to find. The party started harmlessly, music, chatter, drinks, and then Milo began drifting closer to Claire. He launched into one of those jokes that's supposed to sound clever, but is really meant to poke at someone. I didn't think much of it until he let out a loud laugh, glanced straight at me, and said, "Ethan, you think you can keep up with Claire? That's adorable." People chuckled. Claire looked caught off guard. And for a split second, I froze. My face burned, my stomach knotted, and the old part of me, the part that wanted to stay invisible, almost took over. Almost. But then something inside me shifted. A steady voice rose up, quiet but unmistakable. "You don't let anyone cut you down in front of the person you love." I drew in a slow breath and met Milo's eyes directly. "Adorable," I said softly. "You know what's actually adorable? Watching someone try so hard to drag others down just to feel taller, and still falling short." The room went silent. Milo's smirk twitched. He wasn't expecting me to push back, much less calmly. He started to reply, but I stepped a little closer, keeping my voice level. "Claire doesn't need me to be flashy or loud to impress her," I said. "She knows who I am. And if that bothers you, the issue isn't with me. It's with your insecurity." I watched his confidence crack. He swallowed hard. And for the first time, I realized that staying calm wasn't weakness. Sometimes it was the sharpest blade in the room. I didn't shout. I didn't posture. I didn't try to humiliate him. I simply pointed out the truth. "You think mocking people makes you look clever?" I asked. "It doesn't. It makes you look small. If you want respect, try earning it instead of tearing it out of someone else's hands." The entire mood changed. People who had laughed with him earlier now avoided his eyes. Some nodded slightly at me. Claire stared, wide-eyed, not in fear or confusion, but in something close to admiration. Milo stepped back, cheeks tight, bravado collapsing. He retreated to a corner after that, never approaching me again. The rest of the night felt different. Claire stayed near me, her fingers intertwined with mine. She didn't have to say anything. I could feel the shift in the way she stood with me, in the way she looked at me. Later, when we left and walked under the streetlights, she squeezed my hand and finally spoke. "Ethan, I didn't know you had that in you." I shrugged like it wasn't a big deal, but deep down I knew it wasn't about Milo at all. It was about me finally refusing to stay small. Over the next few days, Milo kept his distance. He didn't try to assert himself around Claire's group anymore, and on the rare occasions we crossed paths, he offered a stiff nod instead of his usual smirk. But the real change was between Claire and me. She paid attention to me differently, more intentional, more tender. Not because I'd shown off, but because she'd seen a part of me I'd kept buried, the part that knew its worth. A couple of weeks later, as we sat together on her couch in the warm glow of her living room lamp, she leaned against me and whispered, "That night it changed something. I think I underestimated you." I wrapped an arm around her and said quietly, "I didn't do it for anyone else. I did it because I stopped letting myself disappear." Her eyes glistened. "I've always loved you," she said, "but now I understand you so much more." That was the moment that stayed with me. Not the confrontation, not the silence that followed, but the realization that respect starts with how you treat yourself. Milo's jab had only been a spark. What mattered was that it forced me to face the part of myself that had accepted being overlooked. And once I confronted that, everything changed. Life isn't about dramatic scenes or loud victories. Sometimes the strongest moment is the quiet one, the moment you finally decide your value isn't up for debate. After that night, Claire and I became closer. Not because I'd overpowered anyone, but because I'd shown her the steadiness I'd been hiding. Someone who didn't need to shout to stand firm. Someone who could protect his space without hurting anyone. Looking back, I don't think of that night as an argument. I think of it as clarity. Milo tried to belittle me, but all he really did was reveal himself. And when I walked away from that moment calm and sure of myself, I knew I'd stepped into a version of me I should have been all along. Maybe Milo learned something from it. Maybe he didn't. Either way, it doesn't matter. What matters is that I realized something unshakable. No one gets to decide my worth but me. And that quiet certainty meant more than any applause or approval ever could.